right. Welcome back to this episode of Between Two Teachers. We've been away for a few weeks, but we want to check in with you for our August 2019 episode. I'm Madeline Kronenberg.
And I'm Consuelo Lara.
And this is our Fern, Adam, who came and was on our last episode where we had our guest, Adam Kronenberg.
Oh, okay.
No guests this week. We're back just talking among ourselves, and we're going to start with a little conversation following up on something that happened at the last board meeting, which was an arts resolution that you put forward. So let us share with
Yes,
that.
this has been in the making for a little while. We put together some teachers, art teachers, contacted some groups in the community. So we have a really good arts resolution put together, and we're very excited about it. Everybody's really excited. We see the need, we see the enrichment of it at all levels. Nobody is against it. We're really looking forward to this. So last time we had a review of the draft, and the next meeting we will be voting on passing the resolution. And we were talking about what are the next steps then after that, because equity really is the issue. And right now we have very different art going on because we have different funding sources and histories of art. And so we want to try to achieve that equity in the arts. And so that's where it started. And
we have a VAPA plan. So arts, we have a VAPA department, Visual and Performing Arts. And so we want to be sure that that department continues to be successful and led by a director. And that's one, so when we're talking about funding, that's one of the streams of funding that's important for the arts to be able to be successful. And that since they have a department, then they also bring the chairs and the faculty members throughout the district who are in the arts, and that they all come together. So that only happens if you pay for that to happen, right? And that you actually, before we had a VAPA department, it never happened.
Okay.
So you have to have a department to hold that,
Sure.
so that the music teachers come together, the dance teachers come together, all of the visual and performing arts teachers have an opportunity to share what they're doing. And also look at the different resources that they are pulling from.
Exactly.
And that's why I think that we have a visual and performing arts master plan that's on our website and is part of the history of visual and performing arts in the district. And we are the only district in the county of, in Contra Costa County that has a director of visual and performing arts. So it's very important that even if there may have been a change in personnel there, that's why I'm curious about that. And that person, I would think, would come and be asked to come and speak to the arts resolution.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something to consider for that, because that's the person who's in charge of implementing it. Right? And that's where the master plan sits. And the master plan was about making sure that the arts are brought into the daily life of every student. It is very much about equity. So I think maybe if the master plan could become an exhibit or an appendage to the resolution, then we're continuing. We're not starting from scratch and giving up. There was a tremendous amount of work that went into bringing community members in from the local arts community. They had many, many meetings to put the master plan together. And it's about, I think it was in 2015 that was adopted by the board.
Wow. That's what I really like about, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're bringing back, reviving things, modifying them, making them even better. And I think doing a check inventory kind of thing of what is happening where, so that we can see
what is happening where. And I think people might be surprised because because the funding sources are different. In some of our communities, the funding is being handled by parental support because that is there, and in other communities there are grants that different schools have written in the past or been able to be successful in getting. And then there's a whole arts community in the state of California that has funding set aside. And actually there's a real effort to have the state create funding streams for the arts. And you mentioned it very much in terms of for our secondary students for their career path.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we want to just be able to include that.
And Mr. Phillips has brought up, Trustee Phillips has brought up a few times the idea of a school of the arts.
Yes.
Here in the district. And I think there is agreement that that would be a wonderful thing. So we see this resolution as a foundation. Nice foundation. We add the strategic plan. So it's a start.
Yeah, it's elevating the conversation, and so we've done it in the past, and so it's an important thing. It's just like everything else. If it doesn't stay on the agenda, it can get lost and fall through the cracks. So I am very happy and excited that this conversation is happening, and I think at this point I'm going to give a shout out to somebody who's really important in the arts, and certainly in the El Cerrito community, and with my kids and their arts, but also just as a teacher. We had a teacher who lived to be 103 and was still teaching at 103, and she was teaching dance. She was teaching a dance class at her home until she passed away. My daughter, who's a dance instructor, was in the class. It was a hula class, her final class that she taught, but she also she taught all her life. I will put her obituary in as a link on our YouTube page. So if you're reading this, or if you're watching us through Facebook or LinkedIn, and you want to get to the links that I refer to, you need to just click through to us Between Two Teachers on YouTube. And while you're there, you might want to subscribe, because you could be the next one, and we could be up to 30. Right?
There you go.
So
yeah.
we would be happy to have you do that. But her name was Eleanor Weigand. She was a wonderful teacher, and the fact that she continued, there are very few people, I mean, I don't think I know anybody who is still teaching at 103. and teaching dance, no less.
Amazing. Yeah,
I mean, that was a very amazing thing. So she started teaching in El Cerrito in 1984, and in her obituary you can read all of the details of her life as a teacher. But she was an excited person who had a total passion for teaching and an absolute passion for dance. So I think of her when I think of the arts.
And so on August the 7th, please come to the school board and tell us your thoughts about the arts and anything that you want to share. Please do come. That'll be the time to bring it up for the board.
It's the next board meeting. The next thing to talk about is our, you should talk about what's happening with the Freedom School.
Oh yeah, there was a Freedom School this summer, and this is a big shout out to Joanna Pace.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, she is a miracle worker. What they were able to accomplish with the challenges that they had. But let me read a few of these things. We made contact with 60 families, served a core family of 35 core families. Kids heard and discussed lots of stories in their theme of I can make a difference. They hired and kept 10 employees. They fed hungry children every day, gave books to families, introduced their scholars, they call them scholars, students, to the Richmond Public Library, Kennedy High, and Fairyland. So these were Stege and Nystrom students. They got to know each other. And as well, there were families of homeless children. And so there was a good relationship that was forged with the Nystrom staff members as well. And the list of the challenges is much longer, but I'm just so amazed at what she was able to accomplish. And she talked about how they wanted to do it next year, but how to overcome all those challenges. And I'm thinking there should be a partnership with, a lot of teachers would say, do you need teachers? Do you need teachers? Teachers want to teach summer school. And I think there could be a Stege summer school at Stege, custom to them, that included all the strategies and techniques and successes of Freedom School, along with our summer school, and maybe other programs like Reverend Shoemake, his program. And it could be just customized to those. That's what I thought. That would be the best way to do that, because it would be a shame to let that just stop now.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I mean, and I know that Ms. Pace is very committed to bringing it back again. And this is a partnership with the Children's Defense Fund and the Methodist Church. Right?
Yes,
So you've got
yes.
there are a lot of different partners involved in the Freedom Schools, but it requires a real commitment, and I think it's a really good idea to bring Stege in, and it's that really then brings us to the Stege conversation, right? Where there's still a lot of work being done with Stege, but there are new teachers hired, and they're going to be starting soon, right before the regular school year.
Yes, yes. And I've had people ask about, there's the African American director for the district, and then there's that advisory board for Stege as well. And so people wanting to know, okay, what's the timeline? Where are they meeting?
Right.
And people are like ready to go. And I talked to the administration, and they said that at the next board meeting, he'll have all of that available, what the timeline is, etc. So you'll have to come at that time to find out.
Well, we'll share that out as soon as we hear that,
Yes.
and we'll put it on. I'm thinking that, there are some things that really do need to be really on the website. Stege needs its own page because it's gotten all of this attention. And I know they're redoing the website,
They
too.
are. I was just going to say, yeah, it's under construction, a lot of it.
And when
So
is that supposed to be done?
that's a good question. I'm not
Not
sure.
sure.
They're on it.
Okay, so that's a big change, and it's very exciting. So hopefully the Stege information will be on there, and we'll be able to all have access to it very soon. But there is a lot of energy happening around Stege,
Absolutely.
and that's the most important thing. And it is good to know that the level to which the Freedom School has been successful. And Mr. Thurman, our superintendent of public instruction, was the lead-off reader when they had somebody come in as a reader.
Yes, he was one of the
him.
first readers, and I was like the last. Speaking of the arts, they did this very interesting thing where they had an arts session with parents.
Very
She
good.
said it was so successful, those parents loved it, to come in and do art
With their kids.
with their kids, and they just loved it. They just loved it. They wish they could expand that. What a great idea.
Well, see, this is
Isn't
where
that
we find
amazing. Yes.
best practices.
Yes, when you go out there and you do
Right?
things.
Where you try it. And sometimes there are, the thing about best practices is you can get the laundry list of things, and you've got to try them out with each group, just like you would in any classroom. You can have a great thing that worked last year that doesn't work this year,
That's
because it's
true.
a different group in your classroom,
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with that. But that sounds like a wonderful best practice. So I
Yeah,
hope that
yeah.
that
So-
happens.
Okay.
I think that, so that at the next board meeting, the other thing is you're doing a data dive. That was a really important thing that they were talking about, how we're going to be looking at data at the board level now, and maybe not.
Yeah,
Meaningless
to
data.
come up with one number for the whole district is kind of a ridiculous thing to think
Yeah.
that you could do that, because we have so many different levels of kids, and if you could do it by school, yes, that's good. Grade levels, that's more useful, etc. But I think it's a good thing to have.
It's a good
Sure.
thing to have, and the interesting thing, it exists on ed data. It's not as if this is secret data that doesn't exist. You can look up your school right now and see how that school performed in the past. So the question is, how is it performing at any given moment? And the people who know that are the teachers know that.
Yeah.
I mean, the teachers, whether they're giving the benchmark test or giving their own regular test that they have created, they know, because that's what informs their practice, what they have to reteach. The question is, do they get it, or do I have to reteach it?
Exactly.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
right? And so then the question is, if they didn't get it, what are the choice around strategies that I can use to reteach something, and how can I partner with somebody, and how can I be able to do that?
Yep.
So we're working on that, and that's a wonderful thing. I don't know if you can hear the pitter patter. We have we do have a guest today.
We have
Cooper. He's going to be here for the next month or so.
You want to look at the camera, Cooper?
Cooper. He's looking at the door. He thinks that there's somebody outside. No, he would have done it before.
I know.
Anyhow, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe. We would love to get over 30. So if somebody has gone to the YouTube channel, we'd appreciate you pushing the subscription button, and like us. Push the like button. And we'll talk to you more. Hi, Cooper.
Thank
Talk to you
you
soon.
very much. And we will see you next time.